Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de one of my most personally anticipated shows of all time. Okay, I really can't believe the Sandman is finally a TV show. We're gonna have to dissect it a bit, indeed. Yeah, Zempak here. So first I need to say I've loved the Sandman comics for a couple of decades at this point, okay? And I still have them somewhere in my house right now. Yet I confess I did not immediately reread them upon hearing that Netflix is making a TV show off of it. Finally, I think my biggest problem with the show before watching it is that I love the source material so much that I'm afraid there's almost no possibility that any live action show can live up to my full fandom level of expectations, right? So that's why I haven't reviewed the source materials recently, because I thought if the comic version was too fresh on my mind, I might be inclined to view this show even more cynically, or rather critically, right? But that was before the show came out, and now that I have seen season 1 of The Sandman, I'll tell you my immediate judgment right now, and that is, I saw it and I would make my wifey watch it all over with me again. And to me, that's as much of a ringing endorsement as I can get, right? Because I desperately want the person I love the most in the world to love it with me, okay? Having said that, those of you who know me knows that I love nitpicking, so we're gonna do a little bit of dissection now on what I liked, what I wish were different, and maybe a little bit more into whether I think change is possible for the future, assuming this show is popular enough to survive Netflix chaotic cancel acts, okay? If you like my rants or whatever, comment, like, subscribe, share, and all that social media buzzwordy stuff, I'll be great regardless. Oh, by the way, also for this rant, I'm going to put spoilers warning here because I'm assuming you've already seen the show in its entirety, or at least don't mind my piecemeal descriptions of various characters and possibly some plot points. First, let's start off with the negatives, because, you know, it's the internet and we all just love to complain, right? So a few character castings that are gender swapped or race swapped or whatever you call it. I know that's all the rage these days, but sometimes I do wonder what the point of that is. Seems like just more diversity for its own sake. Though I will say that my biggest worry was about the character of Death. I thought she was an absolute legend. That came out of the Sandman universe, which again I adore. So when I first saw the race-swapped actress, I confess I was a little disappointed, but after watching the show, I'm gonna say the actress, I thought she really did grow on me, right? It helps a lot that they did not change the character's personality, so it's really just a visual difference, right? And that seems actually almost inconsequential, right? Oh, I will have to also mention that despite how gothy and gaunt our main character, Lord Morpheus, looked, I still kind of expected him to look even more emaciated. I know it's been a while since I've read the comics, but I recall the Lord of Dreams looking particularly well inhuman in his original depiction, right? I'd expect especially him to look that way after his century-long brush with the worst of humanity, right? Oh well. Maybe in live action, you know, it just can't compare to the medium of comics for exaggeration, right? Or exaggerated effects. And that leads me to my final nitpick, which is that this TV series, while quite beautiful and majestic in its depiction of the world of dreams, for me misses the rawness of the original comic, right? The CGI of fantastical creatures on the show could have been on any other show, whereas I felt like the original Sandman comics just didn't look like its contemporaries at all, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is that I have wished the TV show to look more goth, more hollow, or maybe even more haunting in its variety. I'm gonna get into that a little bit more at a later point too. Now, point number 2, before people start yelling at me, I'm happy to gush about the parts that I really do enjoy, okay? Obviously, the fidelity of the cast of very, very weird characters. I mean, the cast of Sandman is what made us all love the comics to begin with, right? And I'm honestly surprised how many of these strange inventions made it to screen at all, right? Like, first of all, Brienne of Tarth, a la Game of Thrones plays Lucifer. What? Amazing cast. I didn't mind the gender swap here at all, as her height actually gives her a natural imposing look for the character, and her milky white complexion works well with that whole, Lucifer being the light of the morning motif. But most importantly, her ridiculous bangs clues us in to her level of depravity. I mean, only the most evilest of beings would possibly have these kind of curl-inducing haircut, right? At least that seemed clear to me. Anyway, here's some other random stuff that I liked. Choice of casting for Matthew's Raven's voice. I mean, I love how they picked a fairly unique voice that just made me go, oh, I know who that guy is right away without it being too much of a cameo, right? I thought it was perfect for a friendly companion character, right? Also loved Lady Constantine. The gender swap actually worked for me here better than the original because there's a hint of like sexual tension in the scenes between our hero and this character. It also serves to me to humanize a character way more quickly than I'm used to, at least compared to the other various live-action Constantine depictions, right? And finally, I really do enjoy the motivations of the quote-unquote villains, such as the Corinthian, right? Sure, he may be an a-hole, but how can anyone not empathize with somebody who, at their core, mostly just want to be left alone and be free, right? Free to be, a giant a-hole, sure, but free from his creator, free from being told what to do. I think that can be universally empathized with. So, what are my hopes for the future of this show? Honestly, in my vague recollection of the rest of the series, I recall a variety of striking visual styles that all seemed strange and wonderful to me, okay? At least decades ago. So this is the kind of distinction that I wish the live-action show could better emulate, right? I want someone to say, Sandman, the Netflix show, looks like nothing else on TV, just like the comics defied expectation back in its heyday in terms of how mature, the subject matter and the art style is different, right? And that was what made it different for a, comic that's still under a major label, that's DC, right? Can it be done? I'd wager yes. Will it be? I mean, I think I am only cautiously optimistic here. I'm pretty sure season 1 of The Sandman mainly only covers like the first volume, and there's like 7 or 8 or 10 more volumes left, if memory serves. So there's a ton of content left. My example of a more like visual disparity can be noted in some of the endless in the show, right? Like I thought, Desire was right on point, but Despair just seems kind of underwhelming. I mean, when I look at a character named Despair, I want to feel, despair. But this current incarnation just looks kind of like mildly sad. I mean, what are they going to do when they have to cast and put Delirium on screen? If I recall correctly, she had a very distinct visual tick, I think, around her hair. How's that going to translate into live action? I don't know. Okay, I mean, I think the showrunners have their work cut out for them, deciding to adapt this show. So far, they've remained fairly faithful to the source material. And for that, they have me rooting for them, right? But this is a weird series, and we all knew that going in. I just want them to get, like, even weirder with it, okay? Anyway, I read the Sandman comics when I was like a kid, and now I'm a full-grown adult. When I was a kid, the world of dreams seemed like a distant and wonderful and fascinating place, right? Because I was still dreaming about most stuff. But at this point, I've achieved most of the dreams I've ever had, okay? I'm rich enough for me, I have a wonderful wifey, I can spend as much time or as little time watching fantasy TV and talk about it as I'd like. So you'd think I'd care less about a show about dreams of, humanity in general, right? But clearly that is not the case because, we humans, we're endless with how our mind wanders, right? One dream leads to another, and frankly, I am so happy that this TV show finally got made after decades of waiting. Now I want more. Seriously, if Netflix completes this entire series of the Sandman comics, I'd call that a real dream come true. Cheers. I'll approach it.